Hello. Hi, everybody, and welcome. We're just letting some people trickle in. If you can enable the chat and say where you're from, I can see there's a few people here already. Climbing fast, almost 50 people.
Cool. Yes. Hot topic.
Yeah, I'm going to write hi so everybody doesn't feel shy.
I'll chime in as well.
It's working. Hi from Montreal. Oh, from someone named Dave. Uh-oh. That's going to be trouble. Sudbury, awesome. Some Canadians, some Americans. Oh, New York City. Oh, would love to go back there. Lynn in Ottawa. I'm in Ottawa too, Lynn. How's it going? Excellent. We'll just let people come in a little bit, say hi. Oh, great. I'm glad the chat is working. Really nice to see so many people. East Tennessee, wow. And Las Vegas, cool.
Canton, Ohio. That's my spot. Buzzing.
Oh, yeah? Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Soul Glitch here from San Francisco, I think. Yeah. Oh, I miss traveling. I miss seeing all these nice places. I've been to
Let's get back to it soon.
San Fran, Sedona. I've been to Sedona too. Oh, so nice. Oh, Germany, great. The number's still climbing of people coming in, so we'll just let it go for a couple more minutes, and then we'll say a proper hello. Oh, India. Wow.
Whoa. All right.
Great.
Maybe the winner as of now.
Yeah. Yeah, I see Germany as well, some different time zones. Great.
Yeah, don't count out Hoboken.
Cool. All right. Well, I think we'll get started. Some more people may trickle in. That's fine. Oh, Hawaii. I've been there too. That might be high on my list of places to go back to.
After a long winter, I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah, totally. So thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm Melanie. I'm the communications manager for website platform Bandzoogle. And with me today for this discussion are Kyle and Kristen, and they're from the live show and tour booking platform, Indie on the Move. So Kyle here is the president and co-founder of Indie on the Move, which is the music industry's destination for show and tour booking. If you haven't checked out Indie on the Move before and you're thinking about or over 48 states and 6 countries, and she's heading out on the road again soon. If you want to check her out, her music and much more, KristenFord.com. And we have a little promotional offer for you guys today. So I'm just going to share that with you quickly, I think. Here we go. Ta-da! All right. So really pleased to have you guys here with us to chat about the return to live shows. It's an interesting topic now that things are sort of loosening up across the world. We thought it would be great to have this conversation today. A little bit about Bandzoogle to kick things off. We are an all-in-one website platform for musicians. I think I recognize some of your names that you have Bandzoogle website. Your domain name and web hosting is included with your Bandzoogle website. You can sell music, merch, and tickets commission-free. You can create product bundles. This is a new feature to sell music and merch online. And we also offer built-in crowdfunding and fan subscriptions right through your website. You can send professional email newsletters, and we provide live tech support 7 days a week. Our support team is amazing, and it's pretty much all made up of musicians as well. Also, we include the option to build an EPK on your website. So this might be of interest to you if you are thinking about booking shows. We have a specific template to build an EPK for venues, which will help you reach out when you're starting to rebook or freshly book shows again. You can add your bio, your quote, your photos, music, video, your stage plot, everything you need right on the page. And you can also create a downloadable version of your press kit. So Indie on the Move. With Indie on the Move, you can book more shows, book better tours in a fraction of the time with their comprehensive venues database. It includes contact information for tons of music venues, over 1,000 colleges and universities. And they also have a quick pitch functionality to accomplish what would take hours or days of show and tour booking work. It'll only take minutes. They also have customized show availability alerts, so you can find support acts or slots in any city, and an add-on option, do it together booking, which is basically experience from a seasoned professional to speed up the process and ensure the best results. So if you do want to try out Indie on the Move, we have a promo code here for you. You can check it out by going to indieonthemove.com/subscriptions. Here's the code, and that will get you 50% off annual subscriptions. This code does expire on June 30th, so I encourage you to check it out if it's of interest to you. So as we all know, the live music industry was hit pretty hard by the pandemic, and because restrictions are easing in some parts of the world, we just thought it would really be beneficial to have this conversation with Kyle and Kristen today to gain some perspective on how artists are going about booking or rebooking tours. There's probably a wealth of different experiences and knowledge with the musicians who are here today. We're going to go over some questions, have a chat. If you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll try not to interrupt you, Kyle and Kristen, too much, but this would be great as a conversation. I'm sure everyone here has been affected in some way or another. And thanks so much for taking the time to have this discussion with us, you guys. So I personally am up in Canada, Ottawa, and we're kind of lagging behind a bit on live music coming back. It's summer now, restrictions are easing, some outdoor shows and patios are starting up. But it'll be really interesting to hear how things are going in other parts of the world. It sounds like in the United States, music is making a bit more of a comeback a little bit sooner. Kyle and Kristen, if you guys want to kick us off just by letting us know what things are like where you are, and then we'll dive into some just questions and things about live shows.
I mean, places are booking. Looking like the places that aren't doing summer shows are looking forward to the fall. So, I would say if performing live is something that is on your radar, I mean, make sure you're getting yourself prepared to start doing some outreach at some point soon, because, maybe your pitch isn't in place. Maybe your website is, has been, collecting dust for the last year and a half. And maybe you've been busy, working on new recordings and other things like that. So, spend a little bit of time, get your presentation all put together. And then, at the very least, I say this to a lot of people, I would always rather get the response from somebody that says like, hey, I'm not there quite yet, than the one that says, I just booked that show yesterday, so get back with me another time. So, start, putting all of those pieces in order, because people are actively booking. And I would say probably in every city, there's some venues that maybe just aren't there yet. And that's fine. But there are probably venues in every city that are there already, and are certainly, I would say, a lot of places that I see are planning for fall, or, even January 2022 shows at this point, which, that's only 7 months from now. It's not very far.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that I'm originally from Massachusetts, so I've spent many years in New England, but living in Tennessee, it's definitely a good time to start putting your feelers out, whether it's for something last minute because they just decided the capacity or the mask restrictions are lifted so they can have shows again, or like Kyle was saying, if you're booking for winter, why not reach out now?
Right. So if artists are starting to think about booking again, like yesterday was a good time, right? Do you guys, I guess with Indie on the Move, you're starting to see a real surge in bookings, successful bookings?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I would say we started to see an uptick in activity probably as far back as March. And the people in March, rightfully so, should have been planning for summertime. And, as Kristen said, a lot of the red states didn't shut down the same way that the states further north did, or the states on the coasts. So, there were shows being booked in Texas, in Florida, in the Carolinas, in Tennessee, even, the beginning part of this year. But now, especially, people come March, you're probably thinking at the very least June, but you could very well be putting feelers out for September and October in March. Yeah. And the bigger the tour, the more time you want to give yourself. And like I said, if somebody responds and says, "Hey, we're not there quite yet," at the very least you can create an introduction with them and maybe start the dialogue to then touch base with them a month or two from now.
Yeah. So if somebody, let's say, hasn't been booking yet,
priority is, okay, we had to cancel 3 and 4 months worth of shows. Let's get back with those people that we had to cancel. Let's give them first dibs. And if they can't do it, then we'll fill in the gaps with, people that are newly interested.
Right. And Kristen, have you noticed any changes when booking shows, like smaller budgets for venues, different guarantees, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it seems like, especially if there's reduced hours from a club, like they're not open as late as they used to, so they can't do as much in sales, or they have reduced capacity or spaced out tables. Sometimes you are seeing that guarantees might be a little bit lower right now, or they're just not feeling as confident about what they can offer until the bodies are in the door. And so I think it's just, we have to have a lot of patience and love with each other as we all knock the rust off and emerge from hiding. And that includes the promoters and the staff who works at the venues and the fans who are going to come out, because everyone kind of developed new habits over the last group trauma bonding experience of this pandemic. And I think now is an excellent opportunity to just be a bit more patient and understanding as we're all kind of figuring out what is the new normal. But I would say if you have your website and your your stump speech, your pitch that you would send out, it doesn't hurt to even say, okay, 2 months from now, what do you have going on? And then maybe have a backup plan. We're booked. Or maybe you really want to play Club Passim in Boston. That's like your dream venue. And they might be booking a year in advance. So if there's your certain gem venues, then just start dreaming big for your tour far in advance, and then time flies.
Yeah, indeed. You got your perfect places that you really want. Try and create those anchor dates. You could lock in those dates and it could be months and months in advance, and it gives you more than enough time to just fill in the rest of the spots.
Yeah. I wonder too, if some of these places are going to wait and see a little bit, if people are flocking back, if they're making money, just sort of create the schedule or see how live music is going to work for them again. Because
I'm sure that there will be some places like that. Especially ones where music is not the main focus of what they do. Restaurants that, have music on Friday and Saturday nights, that sort of thing. I've been in touch with a decent amount of places that they want to get their main focus back in order before they start thinking about all of these additional things that they used to do. And, for a restaurant, it's food. Maybe for a brewery, it's brewing beer, whatever it is. But I would say, the reassuring thing throughout the entire process is there are places that put shows on hold. And yes, there are definitely plenty of places that closed down that have been around for years and years. But there's new places popping up constantly. I feel like in the past month or two, I've just been seeing more and more places that have either decided to offer live music, or places that maybe should have opened 6 months ago and just pushed their timeline back because they wanted to open at a more ideal time. But the ability to find places that have shows is absolutely there. And, even as Kristen was saying, reaching out to people, asking about dates that are sooner rather than later. I feel like you're going to kind of run the gamut. There's definitely marquee venues that maybe are booking dates that are like 3 weeks from now. And, they want to start getting people, and, a show that's 3 weeks away, can you properly promote it? Maybe not. But, if they're offering these dates, they want to start getting these wheels moving. And so, if you're willing to work with a venue that has something sooner, they want to get somebody in the door, they want to get somebody on the stage, they may be more willing to work with you than if you said, hey, I want 6 months out. Sometimes it's good to be on the starting point of people either getting back to something or starting something new, as opposed to hopping on board once they already figure it out.
I wonder a bit too, with these last minute opportunities, especially if you're not a solo artist, what it'll be like playing again. 3 weeks you have a show. Some people, and I can see in the chat too, some people have been live streaming. So I guess if you've been doing that consistently, maybe you're ready. But Kristen, I don't know if you have any tips or ideas on sort of shaking off the rust, or just that idea of engaging with people again, especially if you haven't had a live audience in, a year or 6 months or however long it's been, depending where you are.
Sure. Well, I think what a lot of people did is, when everything shut down, is where they're listing their upcoming tour dates and things like that. It's just nothing's coming up, or it's just a live stream, or there's like a tip jar, which is fine. But I think it's important to make sure that you kind of say like, okay, we're back open for business. Like, we're back as usual. And if folks haven't played out in a while, and also something that's really helpful with trying to book a live music performance is to have a video with good audio of you playing live. And I think in light of the pandemic, people are really understanding if it's a closed room, if it's just you on a soundstage or in your living room set up really nicely, or at a radio show. And I would encourage, if you don't have that 45-minute or hour set tight, go ahead and schedule a really great taping of your performance and rehearse with the band or yourself or whoever you have. Get it really tight, promote it as a live stream, record it, and then you have that in your pocket, and you also have that as a show that you can put on your website, as literally only do big rock clubs. It's like, well, maybe you take on 1 or 2 gigs that are kind of lower pressure, lower key, and then get your confidence up.
That's great advice.
Yeah, totally. We have some questions about live stream. I don't know if you did any live streams, Kristen, or if you've seen any. Kyle, my husband, did a bunch of live streams. He's a musician. And I think it was Gail, yeah. She's asking if, Kyle, you've been seeing venues incorporate hybrid shows. So the idea, I guess, of playing live, but then live streaming the show. Should artists live stream some of their gigs? Maybe they've made fans, across the world throughout the pandemic, and they want to make sure they see it. Are there venues that allow that?
I mean, there's definitely venues that allow it. I'm sure that there may be some venues that don't really want it happening, and they want, more of a closed door. Hey, you want to see the show? You better come down here and see the show. I think that there's definitely venues that have adapted to the pandemic and like really done a good job with getting video recording technology into the space. And, if these are venues that you're booking with, well, one, I would like to think that if a venue spent that amount of time and money investing into that they would communicate that capability to the artists pretty clearly when it came down to advancing the show. So, if they've got it, use it. Why not? Maybe even just that would be a good transition to get back into, really just ticketed shows and stuff like that. Or it may just be kind of the new normal where, some people are going to kind of expect that they'll have an option of a live stream if it's at a certain venue. But I mean, I know people, even before the pandemic, who would make a point of trying to live stream shows just like through their phones and stuff like that at the shows. And, also a great way to do it. I think my only hesitation would be to just make sure that, if you're doing the setup for the live stream yourself, I mean, make sure that that's not going to kind of take away of the setup of the show, not add like load in time and changeover time. You're playing in big cities, and a lot of times you've seen plenty of live streams over the past year and a half. We all have. And there's some where you can tell like people really put time and effort into making sure that it was a really cool thing. And there's others where clearly somebody just put their phone, like leaned it up against, a picture frame and sat down with their guitar in front of it. So is it adding value, or is it just something else? Would be my question for you.
Yeah. Or I guess you could even experiment with, let's say you book some smaller shows and you book a tour, maybe you slot in some live stream shows in your calendar and you do it from your house or your hotel room, or you are, maybe it's a separate show and you sort of promote that one to your international fans.
Well, then Kristen did a tour last year, and I feel like you did some live streams along the way. Am I right?
Yeah, I had a new single out, Crooked Youth, that was on the pop Grammy ballot. Didn't get a nomination, but I was trying to really promote this new song, and I was headed out to South Dakota to film a movie. And so all along the stops, I just would do a pop-up live stream over either Facebook or Instagram playing the song on tour. And it was just to get a little bit of extra exposure and to celebrate this new single being out. And I would just maybe add that, like, if you have a friend in the audience or someone that can help, maybe doing a live stream of one song on Instagram Live, or grabbing a couple things for a TikTok, or doing one song on your Facebook and then drop some links to where they can purchase your music or where they can track you to see where your next show is coming up. You live stream like one song, film the rest, and then if you have this cool footage, maybe that's something exclusive for your Bandzoogle subscribers, or for if you have a Patreon or a mailing list where you're like, here, just to get people excited that you are touring again and your show's so incredible.
Yeah. Amber, I can see, brings up a good point in the chat too. She said it's a challenge to interact with both online and in-person audience at the same time, because it really is a different audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a big part of sort of a Facebook live stream is the comments. And often I've seen, musicians or people, they have someone manning the comments, or people are chatting to each other online. And it's totally different than, like you say, people having beers at the table. It's just a totally different experience. And as a musician or a band, it would be really hard to sort of address both at the same time.
Yeah.
I like the idea of filming it, or, editing it up after, or perhaps a live stream here and there to see how it goes. But just making sure your fans are aware that it's live, really live, as opposed to a setup live stream. Okay, I'm going to just switch gears here and talk about some of the challenges artists might face when they are thinking about booking shows. If gigs might be canceled at the last minute, again, here in Canada, like waves of COVID have hit and everything's shut down, and then it sort of opens up again and then it shuts down again. Venues might close, staff changes, things like that. Have you guys heard much about that from musicians, or have you experienced?
It's going to be challenges. And as an artist, you should just try to protect your health always, because it can be really grueling to do so much travel. And I think it's good if you can wear a mask when you can, just because now we understand how germs work better. If you're a singer, have your own microphone. It's just nice to control the quality anyway. And then it's just really disgusting when you start to think about sharing. And obviously vaccination is sometimes a political or like hot button issue, but I would say that with a lot of employers, which if you're a gig worker going to work at a venue for the night, like you're kind of their employee, like they're going to want to see a vaccination card. And we've been hearing stuff about vaccination passports to travel. So probably a good idea to go ahead and get vaccinated and make sure your band and your team and anybody that's going to be traveling with you is on that page. But I also think that's just like in this time of uncertainty, like just having a little bit extra goodwill and like good vibes and patience with people, because who knows what could happen, and it's not anybody's fault. So, I don't know
Yeah.
if that answered your question
No,
exactly.
it did. And Christina mentioned something in the chat here too about attendees showing proof of vaccination to gather for shows. I'm not really sure how that's happening or if that's happening. And I mean, again, here in Canada, we're only having outdoor shows now and they're extremely limited. So I don't know if you've seen venues in the States yet or other places requiring a vaccination passport.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. In New York, it's a big thing.
Okay.
So like, yeah, I mean, just to go back to what Kristen was saying, I would if you're not vaccinated or you're not planning to get vaccinated, I would certainly do your homework because certain states have very specific rules and they change from state to state, obviously. COVID-free experience or as much so as possible. So yeah, I mean, just like, figure out where you're going, what are their rules, and, even beyond that, I know that there's certain private establishments can have their own rules that differ from state requirements. So, some states may say, well, masks are not necessary, but then a private establishment can say, well, we're still doing masks here, or maybe it may come down to like, okay, well, sure, the state said you don't need to have proof of vaccination, but us as an establishment, that's what we're doing, for however long until we feel like we don't need that anymore. So, maybe that just becomes a part of your advance, and then maybe it becomes something where, you can pass that information along to people that you're promoting the show to. Maybe it's to just keep them informed. Maybe it's just like, a forewarning. Hey, if you're not vaccinated, I wish you could come, but the venue's not going to let you in. I mean, I read an article just this morning about a venue in Rochester who they're doing the vaccination card. You got to show it to come in, and it's not just for shows. It's just plain and simple. You want to come in here, show us your identification along with your identification.
Wow. Yeah. You kind of touched on this a bit, but what do you guys think about, the onus on artists sort of letting their fans know, here are the rules for this venue. If you want to come to this show, you have to do this, that, and the other thing. Should they be communicating that with their fans? It could differ per show, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad to keep people informed. I mean, as a performer, I can say there's nothing worse than when somebody comes out to the show and they can't get in. Like if it was like they came out, you told them like, hey, the show's going to sell out. I told you should have. Whatever it is, I don't see any harm in keeping people informed. And I would like to think that if venues have specific rules themselves that are separate from whatever the state rules are, that they should be communicating that to the artists, and then the artists then can communicate that to the people that might be coming to the shows.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm enjoying reading a few of the comments, just mentioning, what things they're doing. Like Brian, for example, he says he has a ranch. It's good for distancing, 50 people at a time. It's neat to see what's going on in different parts of the world still, because things are so different. Like summer here is a lucky thing because patios can happen before we get indoor shows. And I think Brian also had a question for you specifically, Kristen. He said, in general, and if this has changed with post-COVID booking, he wants to know your advice on reaching out to clubs and markets that you haven't played in before. And he's referencing that, like Kyle said, there's probably going to be a lot of competition with these sort of rain dates, last minute shows. Everyone's trying to get back into it. So I don't know if you have any specific advice to give to somebody who's sort of trying to get their foot in the door with maybe a club they haven't played before, and these clubs are booking back all the artists that they had to cancel and that kind of thing.
Sure. And also just to touch on the last thing about like how much to communicate about like COVID safety and stuff. Like I think as much as you can, whether that person has kids and they want to know if it's an all ages show, or they want it to be outside so they feel comfortable, or they don't drink so they want to know if there's going to be alcohol served, like just as much as you can post links to where you're playing, and if maybe have an email address that you check if your fans want to reach out and like get some specifics from you, then that's just all part of how you like add value to your product that you're offering, which is yourself on tour. But to Brian, I would just say, like, make sure that you're leading with your best website, your best foot forward. I've had venues write back to me and say, you're much too big to play our club, and that makes me laugh, because I'm not signed. I'm an independent artist. Like, I tour out of Ford Escape, like, and yet with really good photos, with really good videos, the booking requests, like, don't send an essay. When I was first starting, I would send like 10 paragraphs all about what my favorite food was when I was 6 years old, and how my mom thinks I'm so great. And you just have to value people's time, or understand, yeah, this is a busy time. The entire industry is going from a standstill. I just dropped off my pedal board to get fixed up, and the guys were like really overwhelmed. They're like, the entire city has their pedal boards with us right now. So that's right? That's just Nashville. But I think don't have any imposter syndrome about, like, oh, why would they book me? Like, just feel really stoked about what you're doing and reach out. And there are thousands of venues and thousands of places to play. And I do think that with live streams, if your dream is to play Chicago and you can't book anything, what's to stop you from going to Millennium Park and doing a live stream and being like, I made it, guys. I made it to Chicago. I'm playing at the Bean, you know? And that's cool. And then your fans want to support that. So hopefully that's something.
Yeah, totally. To switch gears a little bit, this was another thing I was thinking about, and I'm sure some musicians were thinking about, but artists previously were used to hanging out with people after the show, sort of like you said, Kristen, adding value, you know, putting a face to the music or what have you at the merch table, taking selfies and that kind of thing. How do you see that changing with new restrictions?
You want to take that, Kristen?
Okay.
You've lived it. You've lived it.
Sure. Well, I think my friend Remy Neal might be on this. I don't know, because you don't have to have all the merch on hand. And also, like, contactless tipping, people are much more comfortable with Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. I encourage at merch booth to have all of those available, so that if people want to tip you, but they've moved away from cashless, then they can very easily get on your website, buy from you, or tip you. But I would say it's also like a personal comfort thing. Like, I'm vaccinated, so I'm ready to give hugs and hang out, and I miss people. I'm an extrovert. I love it. But if you know that you're not really ready for that level, then I think that's fine, and people are still going to understand if you just want to have a little bit more of a hands off. You could put 2 tables next to each other so that you've got that 6 feet between you on one end of the table and the fans on the other. You know, or thinking about making sure that you have a green room or a separate entrance, or just ways that you can take your space, even if it's crowded for the crowds. If that's not something that you're comfortable with, I think people get that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's like the post show hang is like just as cool as the show itself. I mean, like whether they're new fans, whether they're old fans, whether it's like friends that you haven't seen in forever. I mean, it's for me. I mean, that's part of what makes shows so awesome, is just like the interconnectivity of people in an experience. It's just like not replaceable. So. You know, I would find it hard to not be, you know, there in the moment the way that I was before, and you know, I'm vaccinated too, so it's like I would love to give hugs to people that I know. Let's do it. But you know, I certainly understand that, you know, we're in a transitional period, and you know, maybe not everybody feels. I mean, maybe not everybody does not feel the same way. Plain and simple. And I mean, I ran into a friend of mine not that long ago, and maybe now it's just a time of, like, you know, setting up barriers if you feel like you need to, or just like asking and you don't want to. I don't know, but I feel like people, at least now, are generally pretty accepting of the fact that not everybody is in the same mindset with the situation, and you just kind of got to go with the flow with how it is.
Yeah, it's sort of like you said, Kristen, it's this idea of goodwill and, being a little more accepting and positive and just remembering that everyone's coming into this with a different experience and, just remembering that everyone's sort of coming out of this together and transitioning back into the new normal, so to speak. And it's, really going to be different for everyone. I think we have another question, possibly. It's neat. A few people are sharing their tour vehicles of choice, Kristen. And Sarah's a fellow Ford Escape tourer, she says.
Nice.
Let's see. Yeah, there are some restrictions still in place, depending on where you are. 50 people, it sounds like maybe that's some indoor venues, and that includes staff and musicians and everything, but I think it really, really varies. Carrie Ann is also asking if you are international, Kyle. Like, does Indie on the Move have an international venue database, or is it US only?
It's US only as of now. We have had people ask us about that over the past couple of years, and I wouldn't say that the answer is no in the future, but as of now, it's just US.
Yeah. And if you're asking about Bandzoogle, anyone can create a website. In the UK, we have lots of members in the UK, Canada, the US, all over the world. We have staff all over the world too, including the UK, Argentina, New Zealand, to allow your fans to support you, especially if they can't come see your show or they're not comfortable yet. Definitely get them on your mailing list that way, and make sure you reach out to them as well.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You want to avoid like as many barriers as possible. I mean, it's hard enough for somebody to click on one link, right? And if they click on that one link and they can't find exactly what they're looking for within 5 seconds, you may lose them, right? So like, if you can get them there, that's a major hurdle. But once they're there, it's your job to make sure that things are just simple and they're not complicated. And that's for fans, that's for industry people. Our attention is disappearing. So you need to make sure that, like, with the attention that you get, the amount of time that you have, that you can get people exactly where they want to be. Yeah,
definitely. Oh, we also have someone sharing their tour band of choice. Oh, it just popped out of the way. Oh, because Bandzoogle rocks. Thank you, Amber. Who was it? Oh, Parker. Okay. Tour band of choice, 2016 Ram Pro Master City.
Okay.
Hey.
Yep. That's good.
Is that like a Sprinter? I want one of those Sprinters. I also would just kind of like to dovetail on the website point. It's like, as an independent artist, we have to wear a lot of hats and we have to do everything ourselves. But sometimes it might be helpful to be like, I'm going to pretend that I'm this hotshot manager right now. And how do I want to represent myself as this manager and be succinct and be professional and be critical to the point that we get together what we need, but not so critical that you can't just like get it out there, get something that works. You can always edit it later, but and Bandzoogle will look over your website and say like, hey, you could switch this around or that. And, with the Do It Together on Indie on the Move, we definitely try to take a million ideas about who this complex individual or band is and condense it into a few sentences of just like, okay, but this is business. Like, how are we going to do this?
Yeah. Let's get to it.
Does Bandzoogle have plans to update the option to enter tracking info for merch? I'm not totally sure about that one. LaShawn, if you have a question about a specific feature, I would say contact. Are there any other things you guys want to talk about or share, with the way things have changed, booking shows, different things artists should be aware of now?
Yeah.
I saw a question about an original music artist who's playing around a lot of cover bands. Yep. And I would just say maybe there's different venues that are more geared towards original music, or maybe as an original artist, you want to get together with like 3 other bands and put together a bill so that it's a shorter set. Whereas a cover band is sometimes it's 3 or 4 hours of like, this is what you're getting. And what I do a lot of, or at least have in the past, is I'll do like every third or fourth song will be a cover, and then the rest are originals. And I just communicate that to the booker, like, yes, I can play for 3 hours, but it's going to be a mostly original set. But here are some of the artists that I may cover. And it's kind of like, I feel like having a few covers in your set is beneficial anyway, because it helps the audience. If you don't have a hit on the radio and they don't already know your music, it gives them something to hold on to, that they're like brought into it. And then they have better ears for your own original music. You know?
Yeah.
That's great. LaShawn brought up, I hope I'm saying that right, something interesting. He said one of his shows used colored wristbands to determine levels of contact, a green wristband for contact and a red for no contact, which I think is a really interesting idea. Like I personally have small children, so I'm, that can't be vaccinated. I'm just going to look back a little bit. This is for you, I think, Kyle, but Gail's asking, she says, I really enjoy how Indie on the Move tries to educate in addition to sharing venue information. Do you have plans for a mentor type of program?
Well, I mean, we do consulting work. I mean, I don't know that I'm sure that it would be a little bit different, I guess. Like a mentor would be more of like a long-term sort of thing. I mean, we could always probably scale some sort of like mentor sort of session where, maybe it's like you sign up for like 10 consultations and you get like a certain amount of discount on that. I guess it would just really depend on, what really is like your specific interest. So, while we try and really make a point of getting as much educational material, material out there in the blog, and then just through like other shared articles and stuff like that. I feel like if somebody really had like, hey, this specific thing is what I really want to focus on or learn about. I'm certainly the first person to say, like, my expertise really lies a lot in the show tour booking. While I certainly read a lot and I've done a lot in a lot of other sectors, if somebody said like, hey, licensing is what I'm super interested in, well, I've got people that are really good at that. So I can always like refer people over in that sort of realm. A lot of other people out there as well that are really smart and offer a lot of really good advice too, depending on what the topic is that you're super interested in. And, we have a partner section on the site. So we try and team up with a lot of like-minded people that are just really good at what they do. You'd find Bandzoogle on there as one, but there's a lot of other great companies too. So, I'm happy to discuss this idea further. If anybody ever has any questions as it relates to Indie on the Move, at the bottom of the site, there is a contact button. Whether you're on desktop, you're on a tablet, you're on your phone, you click that, you fill out whatever you want to fill out, and that'll come to me. And as long as it's a decent question, I'll get back to you. Every once in a while, we get the comment that basically is just like somebody hawking their new song, and that's not a legitimate question. You're probably not going to get a legitimate answer. But if you have an honest question, or you're interested in assistance in some way, just shoot us a message and you will absolutely get a real answer from a real person. That's
so great. A couple of people here just came in, I think, and I guess we could circle back quickly. Parker here, he's asking how far in advance should he contact venues to book a show? Should he give more time for booking an out-of-state show in comparison to a local show? I don't know if you want to touch on that again, just quickly.
Sure. Absolutely. Out of state, the further and further you get from home, give yourself more and more time. International tours need a lot of planning. National tours need a little less planning. Generally, it's got to be one of a couple dates. So generally what I suggest people, if you're going to be going out on the road, try and plan 4 to 6 months in advance, right? Never hurts to get the response that says, hey, we're not there yet. Reach out to me in a month, right? I'd rather that than like, hey, we booked that show a week ago and, now we're booked for the year or whatever it is.
And for you latecomers too, I'm just going to put a link to a promo code that we have from Indie on the Move if you want to try it out. I'll put that in the chat. Gail says she has to leave to host a live stream show. That's great. I wonder.
Good luck.
Gail said she was in Canada or not, but I feel like, there's still a lot of live streams around here where I am as well. There's one more question. I think we'll probably wrap it up soon, but Allison was asking about tour accommodations. She says, I guess personally, she's always done a mix of hotels and billets, and she's wondering about how you feel about staying with strangers, which is interesting because that would have changed, obviously.
Right. I used to stay with strangers a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I've slept in some very interesting places. I think just to go back to what we kind of touched on earlier, I mean, it depends on your comfort level. I mean, COVID or non-COVID, there were definitely plenty of situations that I really did not want to find myself in, and I was. And I do not want to recreate. At the same time, there were definitely people that I went home with who became really good fans, really good friends. Like, I still keep in contact with them on social media because they were great people. So you can certainly get a mixed bag with going home with strangers. I think it's just
get on Tinder, just start swiping,
just a bit more comfortable. Whereas, if it is just a single person by yourself out on the road, how well did you read this person in that venue? How much time did you spend with them before you decided to go home with them? It's going to be a personal comfort question for sure. But I think that, probably the more people in your party, the better off you are in those sort of situations, and the less people, probably the more cautious you should be my feelings.
Peter is asking if India on the Move has kept up with venue closures.
Oh yeah.
It's good.
Yes. Constantly. Every week we're adding stuff, we're editing stuff, we're deleting stuff. I'll be the first one to admit that there are absolutely some venues on the site that just haven't been updated for a while, because there's nothing to be updated about this place. Their last social media post was from June 2020. And, so we're keeping a really close eye on a lot of stuff as it relates to closures and openings. And, not only do, we have people that go through the site manually to, figure out where edits need to be made, but we also have alerts built into the site that kind of let us know, hey, something's up with this listing, take a look at it. Something needs to be changed. And then we also get community feedback as well. So we've got a multi-tiered approach to making sure that the listings are as up to date as possible. Are they 100%? No. But you know what? If anybody else has a venues database and they told you it was 100%, they would be lying, because the stuff changes constantly. But we are constantly changing it as well.
Yeah. And with that in mind, anyone with an active website, go update it. For asking. Deb seems to be having some technical issues, the feed's spinning. Sorry to hear that, but we will send out a replay to everybody in a few hours, a link. And the last thing, I just wanted to see if, Kristen, you had any more sort of insight or opinions or anything you wanted to close off with, just when it comes back to booking shows or shaking off the rust or just getting back into it for everybody.
Yeah, I would just say that make sure you have a website and you have your best quality music done. Now's the time to lean on that engineer who never gave you the mixes. Now's the time to get that, and have merch, be ready to sell it at your shows. And I would say just get back out there, and the water's going to be fine. If you don't really have anything to lose, if you reach out about something really far in advance and they say, oh, we're not sure yet, what do you want? Do you want to do something sooner? Or if you reach out about something soon and they're booked, it's okay. It's not like a condemnation on you as a person. It's just, okay, something down the line. But I think it's just very exciting to think that now we can online doing right now on the channel, but we also could go in person again, and hooray for that.
It's almost more exciting than it used to be.
Go get them.
It's definitely very exciting. When distance makes the heart grow fonder, right? And so we've all been very distant from each other.
Sounds like those are your parting remarks. No, is there anything else you want to say, Kyle, or address? Or
I mean, I would just say, like, we talked a lot about, planning and closings or no closings. You can do all of that without any problems at all. And even beyond that, if you are thinking about going out on the road, start putting together a plan, right? Are you a solo performer that needs members to play with you? Start figuring that sort of thing out. Is your tour going to be tied to a new release? Do you have PR? Are you going to be launching some sort of Spotify promotional campaign? I mean, what are you doing with your downtime? Because there's absolutely things that you can do. It's just a matter of whether you want to do them or not. And then, all of that can either, lead towards shows sooner or shows later based off of where you are. But there are plenty of resources out there that everybody can use. So, use your time wisely and figure them out, figure out what you want to accomplish, figure out the resources that are going to help you do it, and just start taking one step to the next step. It's not all going to happen right away, but, little by little, you'll get towards that goal.
Yeah, and Kristen mentioned this, but our support team at Bandzoogle gives site reviews. So if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, you want to update your stuff, you're not sure what to do, feel free to blow up our chat line and you'll get through to someone and they'll schedule a site review for you. Like I said, a lot of them are musicians too. A lot of them are getting back into live shows as well, or they've played some and now it's on hold again. And they'll have advice and ideas for you if you are trying to update things or do some outreach, with your EPK on your website as your base. So I just want to thank you guys, Kyle and Kristen, for joining me. It was a really great discussion. So interesting to see what's going on all over the world. And really, really exciting that